everybody, I'm here with street parking nutrition coach Molly Volmer, and we're talking about the top 5 questions that we get from pregnant mamas during their first trimester when it comes to nutrition. I just got out of my first trimester, and Molly's so helpful, and she helps so many of our mamas, so we're here to answer those questions for you guys today.
Yeah, and just keep in mind with these suggestions and tips we give you guys, always listen to your body, kind of talk with your birth team, things that are gonna work well for you and your baby.
I would say this is probably the number 1 question that we start to get right away when people find out that they are pregnant. It's like, the nauseousness. A lot of times this is the first way that people know that they're pregnant.
Yeah.
For me, I haven't had a lot of like nauseousness in my pregnancies, but what I have noticed is that if I go too long without eating, or if I change my food a lot from what I was eating before, that's when I started to have a few problems. So what's like your more official answer, or how can you help people with this issue?
Yeah, so I went through this actually in my pregnancy where I experienced quite a bit of nausea, and the things I usually ate, it was really hard for me to actually stomach. So just know that this is a season and it doesn't last forever. But while you're in it, it can feel like forever. So some things that you can do to help with this is try to pinpoint what is causing you to feel sick. Is it an odor, or is it a type of food that you're trying to eat, or are you going long stints without eating? Try to pinpoint if there's a common thread to why you're feeling that way. Now, you're naturally probably gonna gravitate more towards carbs. They're easier to keep down, especially if you're feeling sick. If you can, if you're having like a piece of toast, try to balance it with a little bit of protein and fat afterwards if you can. Oftentimes, if you break your meals up into smaller, almost like snack type meals, and eat more frequently throughout the day, that can kind of help keep the sickness at bay.
One of the things that I struggled with probably the most from my regular food, and you mentioned healthy food as like being one of the big issues, is veggies.
Yes.
And having stuff super shredded, like really broken down and cooked really, really well. Raw veggies, things like that definitely didn't work for me. So that might be another tip to help you out. Yeah, similar to the veggie issue, I think protein gives people a lot of problems. I've seen people on our mamas groups talking about eggs like make me gag. I can't even look at a chicken breast. Like, what am I gonna do here? What are some tips that you have to help people? Because protein is always important, but especially when we're pregnant and building another body, like how can we continue to get that in when we're not feeling our best?
Yeah, and protein can also help with some of those cravings that you're experiencing. So just know, for the most part, we tend to have some food aversions when it comes to meat products. If you're typically eating, chicken or beef with your meals, you might experience some aversions with that. You can try having somebody else make the meals for you. So if you have a partner, a loved one, a friend that could kind of cook those for you, or you could pick them up from somewhere where you're not prepping.
Maybe this is why I don't have this problem.
There we go.
Because I don't cook.
So you're not actually cooking it yourself. Protein powders are great. Collagen protein's another great one that you can mix in like your oatmeal, your smoothies. That's an easy way to kind of sip on your protein. Even more like yogurts, or even if you want to dive into more plant-based protein sources, chickpeas or beans, things like that are a little more easier to stomach if you are experiencing issues with your protein.
I think something else that has really helped me is mixing things together in like that bowl. So you're not just eating like a slab of beef or chicken by itself. Shredded meat or like ground turkey, ground chicken really helps me, and mixing it in with like your rice and your veggies, so it's not just like the meat that you're eating. Even the egg whites and the oatmeal thing has really helped me with that one as well. So this one, I think there's so much information out there, and a lot of people have heard since a very young age that when you're pregnant, you're eating for 2.
Yes.
And that's kind of been debunked a little bit, but I think there's still a lot up in the air. Women tend to be really scared of gaining too much weight or things like that. So how can we help guide them, or what kind of like guidance, I guess, do you have for people to know how much they need to be eating?
Yeah, oftentimes when we get pregnant, we're really just trying to be as healthy as we can for ourselves and our growing baby, right? So we tend to kind of be like, okay, I need to start counting calories, when really just looking at the quality of your food should be kind of the hierarchy of things. So very nutrient dense whole foods. Now when it comes to calories, you don't need a ton of extra calories in your first trimester, and especially if you're experiencing sickness, you might be struggling with getting any calories in at all. So a very simple way to think about it in your first trimester is just eat an extra snack during the day. If you are previously counting calories, we want to make sure that you're not at a deficit and you're at more of a maintenance calories, so you're not trying to lose weight while pregnant. But an easy way, again, is just to throw in a simple snack over what you were eating already before.
I would say to help with this, you guys too, if the calories thing, if it is coming from like a fear place, if I'm afraid to gain a bunch of weight, number one, don't compare your pregnancy weight gain to anyone else. It's literally like very, very personal. And number two, it is normal and you are supposed to gain weight when you're pregnant, and you will be able to eventually, when the baby is out and you're recovered, you will be able to get all of that, your fitness back and everything. So don't be afraid of it. Eat for yourself, eat for your baby, keep the food healthy, and you'll be just fine. So within the street parking community, we have specific, they're not really meal plans, but templates to help people figure out their protein, carb, and fat needs at each meal, and some like food lists to help them make good, healthy food choices. When someone is pregnant, what do you suggest? Do they follow a template? Do they ditch it completely? Or kind of how do you guide them for that?
So what we recommend typically in pregnancy is to continue to focus on the quality of your food, but don't stress so much on the weighing and measuring. Just because you have so much going on in pregnancy, so much is changing, you're kind of riding the roller coaster of emotions. So kind of pulling out the weighing and measuring of food can make things a little bit more simple. Now, if you are somebody that you just strive and you do really well in that and you want to stick with it, we don't recommend our fat loss templates. We recommend that you adjust your template to a performance focus. So you're at, again, like we were talking about before, more of a maintenance calorie focus.
You know, one thing that I've mentioned a bunch of times on my personal social media is that my calories and my intake with like the templates and everything, it doesn't change that much when I'm pregnant, because for me, who I'm very consistent with the workouts and I tend to like really go for it, I know that my intensity lowers in those workouts when I'm pregnant, and so those extra calories that I would be using to go super hard are now being able to be used for baby. So those maintenance templates are great, and it's pretty much how I eat. Of course, if you, like she was saying, like if you still feel hungry, add some more sweet potato, add some more turkey, add some more veggies. If you're hungry but only feel like ice cream, that might be more of a craving than an actual hunger. So that's how you can kind of play around with it and see what you're actually feeling.
Yeah, and another great method that we also have too is the palm method, where you can just utilize your hand to measure the portions for your meals. If you kind of want an in between the templates and not following anything at all, that's pretty simple.
This is probably of all of these topics,
these things.
This is the hardest one for me. You know, I work a lot. I have two little guys, and before I was pregnant, I was drinking quite a bit of coffee. Before I was pregnant the first time, the second time, and the third time. I'm just the coffee lover, and I think people struggle with this one, and alcohol, of course.
Yes.
But coffee is a question that we see a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of it, you can either be a coffee drinker or maybe the fatigue and tiredness that you're experiencing in the first trimester, you just want to get some caffeine to try to help you. Now, the short answer is it depends. Some women keep caffeine in during their pregnancy, some feel more comfortable removing it. So really the guidance is kind of around 200 milligrams of caffeine a day. Easiest way to think about it is like a medium cup of coffee. Now, the stronger the coffee, the stronger the caffeine, so keep that in mind. But some simple ways you can kind of reduce your caffeine with kind of keeping that ritual in. You could have like a half calf, so it's got a little bit of caffeine there, but not the full, or you could go full decaf coffee if you want.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of us, I know me in particular, it is more of a ritual thing. Like coffee is part of the flavor of breakfast. It's part of my like treat during the day, and so just having a few sips. Molly always makes fun of me because I can drink a coffee very slowly, so I end up having maybe like 1 to 2 ounces with my breakfast and like 1 to 2 ounces later in the day, and I'm drinking water along with it. But in my first pregnancy, I gave it up completely. The second, I was a little bit more, and the third, kind of same thing. But I do split it up into 2 sessions of like 2 to 3 ounces at the most.
Yeah, and make sure, I mean, hydration is gonna be super important in pregnancy, and if you are gonna be keeping that caffeine, make sure that you're keeping up with your water. If you're experiencing the sickness like we talked about earlier, get in some coconut water or some salt to kind of help with those electrolytes, but definitely water if you're keeping in the caffeine as well. So just remember, as you are in this season of life, it's not going to last forever. Try to just do your best, and just know by the time you hit that second trimester, hopefully some of those food aversions and that nauseous, sick feeling kind of will subside a little bit.
That's right. And if you guys want more pregnancy and postpartum related content, you have more questions, you want to see some examples of workouts and things like that, head over to the Street Parking YouTube channel. You can check out streetparking.com or the Street Parking public Instagram. And of course, if you're a Street Parking member, we have tons of resources, Mama's resources on the Street Parking members only page. And the intro.
Do I need to